Hey, good morning, yogis. This is Mike again, and I'm here in my home on a really rainy Sunday. There's Tucker doing his up dog. Okay, go on, go on. Oh, now he's doing his down dog. Okay, we got some yoga going on here. Good boy. So, really rainy, windy outside today on a Sunday morning, and we're going to do a little yoga indoors today instead of on the outside deck. Because I would be soaking wet and freezing cold. Anyway, here we are. So, lots of stuff going on in the news today or this week, last few weeks. And we're just going to respect all that, but we're going to just let it go today. So, today is a day for you, whatever day you're practicing. It doesn't have to be the day I'm recording this. I'm doing this so you can listen to this and practice your yoga anytime you like to do it. So, just for the next little bit that we practice yoga, let everything go. Don't think, don't worry about anything. Just focus on your breath, focus on your body, focus on your movements, focus on yourself. Chitta Vritta Nirodha is the second sutra of yoga, which means to calm the fluctuations of the mind. So, with all the news and the COVID-19 and the summer. The summer is huge. Just being in the summertime season for Ayurvedic practice is a huge distraction, huge input on the mind because of all the things going on all the time. What you want to do from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, which is usually quite a long span in the summertime. All these fluctuations of the mind. So we practice yoga to calm the fluctuations of the mind. Just chill them out, just even them out, and let them all go. So with that, just come to a nice seated position on your mat, wherever that might be. I didn't get my bolster today, but there it is over there. And we're just going to start with our breath. So, just come into a nice seated position. Have your hands wherever you like. These are all different mudras. You can have them on your on your knees. Have your thumb and your first finger together. This is an open mudra. Represents taking in things. You can do Anjali mudra, just palms together at your heart center. We can do lotus flower mudra, which is cool. Heels of your hands together, pinky finger and thumb together, and your other fingers come out. I don't know if you can see that. Other fingers come out, lotus flower mudra. And one other mudra, which Christiane taught me, which I have a hard time doing. I think this is it. So you interlock all your fingers except for your two middle fingers, which then go up. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so this is another powerful mudra sometime. So we focus on these mudras, and then long inhale, long exhale. Big inhale, big exhale. You can also have your hands in your lap, have your right hand on top of your left hand. This is another mudra. Right hand on top of your left. This is the one I use most of the time. Just breathe, focus on your breath. A little longer inhale than normal, longer slow exhale than normal. You can make both the inhale and exhale the same length. That's called sama vritti. Same fluctuations. Vritti is fluctuations. Hatha yoga Anushasanam. Now we practice yoga. That's the first sutra in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Hatha Yoga Anushasanam. You can say that too. And the purpose is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Nirodha is calming or silence. Vritti is fluctuations, and Chitta is consciousness, conscious. Quieting, calming the fluctuations of our conscience. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Okay, blink your eyes open and come onto your mats in a cat-cow position. You're going to warm up the spine a little bit. So with your knees directly below your hips, heels of your hands directly below your shoulders, drop your belly, gaze comes forward, cow position. Inhale in this position. Exhale, your back rounds toward the ceiling. Big exhale. Inhale, pull your hands toward your knees horizontally. Exhale, push your hands away from your knees horizontally. Follow your own breath. And you can make this a little organic movement too. You can move your hips forward and backward if you like. You can go sideways. Let's just do a barrel roll. So your belly goes down toward the floor, your hip goes to the left. As your back comes up toward the ceiling, you roll over to the right, your hip comes to the right. Just a barrel roll. See a little movement in that spine. And then take your barrel the other way. Take your barrel the other way. Okay, now come to a neutral tabletop, look over your left shoulder at your right ankle. Really stick that right hip way out there. Hold that. And come back in the center, look over your right shoulder to your right ankle. Stick the left hip out. Come back in the center. And that was just a one wag the tail. And then we're going to walk our hands forward about a foot. Come into puppy dog. Maybe your head comes onto the mat and you can roll across the top of your forehead. Just open up your shoulders, open up your back. Push your hips back so you get long between the fingertips and the hips. Open up those armpits. And walk your hands over to the left corner of your mat. Big lateral stretch on the right. Push that right hip back. Plant your hands. Spread your fingers. Big inhale into that right lung, right ribs. Feel those ribs expand. Feel the lung expand. Feel the movement against your shirt. Be mindful enough to notice what's going on with your body and your mind. Come back up. Walk your hands over to the right corner of your mat. Push the left hip back. Inhale into that left lung. Feel the intercostal muscles between those ribs on your left side stretch. Really good exercise here to gain more ability for your ribs to move and expand, both for your body to move, but also for your lungs to expand. And then come back into center tabletop position. I'm just going to come to the top of my mat since it's kind of a short mat and I'm kind of long. Put your right foot back. Really push the back of your right knee toward the ceiling. So we're straightening that right leg out. Push the hamstring toward the ceiling. Push into that Achilles tendon, just nice and gentle. Just stretch that Achilles tendon a bit. Stretch the calf muscle, the gastrocnemius. Stretch the hamstring. Then raise that foot up. Bend that back leg so your heel is toward the ceiling. And then open that hip up. This is called the bad dog pose or the fire hydrant pose, as you can imagine. Bring it back down. Straighten that leg. Keep the leg just hip height. And then raise your left arm. Left arm comes out in front of you. Then bring the arm out to the side, leg out to the side, airplane. Breathe into this. Come back in the center. And without touching the mat with your left hand or your right leg, bring your left elbow to your right knee. Crunch it. Hold it. Hold it. Breathe. Hold it. And then expand. Again, right leg goes back, left arm forward. Crunch again. Back, your back rounds toward the ceiling. Your elbow comes in to your knee. Hold it. Hold it. We're going to hold it for a couple breaths. One more time. Expand out. And then come down. And then just move your hips around. Do another barrel roll. Reset that. I'll see if I can remember that sequence. Step your left heel back from tabletop. Your left heel goes back. Really straighten that left leg out. I can feel that stretch in my calf muscle, my Achilles tendon. A little bit in the hamstring. Yep. And then the back leg comes up. Keep it straight. Now bend at the knee to where your heel is toward the ceiling. And then open that hip up. Stack your left hip on top of your right. Fire hydrant pose. Really see how much your body likes to do this, but right now mine's feeling like I really want to open that up. It really helps to open up the right hip flexor area. Feels really good right now. Do that. To me anyway. Come back in. Now the back left leg is straight and is at hip height. So we'll take our right arm out. Leave it between the plants in front of me. And then the right arm comes out to the side, left leg comes out to the side, airplane. Hold that. And then bring it back in. And then bring your right elbow to your left knee. Crunch in. Your back rounds toward the ceiling. Hold that. Don't touch anything down. The only thing that's down is your left hand and your right leg from the knee down to the foot. A little bit of a balance. Expand out. Left leg goes back. Right arm goes forward. Really stretch between those fingertips of your right hand and the toes of your left. Bring it back in again. Crunch in. Crunch in. Couple breaths. And we're going to expand back out. I want to do it one more time. Crunch in, crunch in. And come out and back into your tabletop. may be a little bit different from the first side, but it's all good. Now, excuse me, just from your tabletop. Now then come forward. You may want to move your hands a little bit farther forward. Come forward with your body to where you're in a kind of a plank, but you're on your knees. And then with your head up, you're looking forward. Engage your stomach muscles that we just worked a little bit. Engage your stomach muscles. And maybe drop your hips toward the mat. Be really careful that you're not tweaking your lower back doing this. Engage your belly muscles. And then your shoulder blades come down your back. Your shoulders come down. And you're looking up. This is kind of a bit of a back bend plank. It's kind of an up dog on the knees is what it is. Hereby, Mukha, Svavanasana. Easy for you to say. Now we're going to come back into puppy dog. And just go all the way back into a child's pose. Push back into a child's pose. Relax your hands. And enjoy your child's pose. Maybe you swing your hips to the right or left a little bit. My daughter gave me, she brought home some donuts yesterday. These are not your typical donuts. She gets them in a place here in town. They're square. And they're filled with whatever filling you want. And there's no hole in them. So they're square pastries, I guess. So, so I had one this morning. Okay, we're back up. And we're just going to turn to face the camera. So now we're on our knees. Knees are roughly hip width apart. Left leg out to the side. We're going to do Parigasana gate pose. So come up on your back toe. See, my back toe is up like that. Come up on your back toe. Left leg out to the side. Right arm up and over. Reach lateral bend toward your left toe. Rotate your thumb more toward the ceiling, pinky toward the floor of your right arm as you come up and over. That's it. And then, if you like, you can take this as you're into a lateral bend, rotate to where your left hand engages your right heel. And I love this little bit of a twist that put in with a lateral bend plus a twist. And come up and over, rotate that left toe forward, come flat on your back foot. And if I had a block, I'd use a block, but I don't. So maybe hand on hip. And just come over for a big stretch. Again, externally rotate your humerus. So I'm doing an external rotation of the humerus, setting my thumb toward the ceiling, my pinky toward the floor. That just helps to open up their shoulder. Keep your shoulder blades down your back. We always like to do that, or almost always like to do that in yoga. So whenever you're thinking about all the muscles in your body, think about your shoulder blades and just drop them down your back. That way we're not crunched up, we're just relaxing. Come up and over. Swap feet. Again, come up on your back toes if you like that twist. If not, you can stay flat on your back foot. This time your right leg's out to the side. And then your right leg, left arm up and over for a big lateral bend. Externally rotate that humerus. Give her a twist if you like the twist. So where my right fingers are touching my left heel as I twist, use the muscles in your torso to twist toward the back. And then you come up and over. The right foot now rotates, toes rotate directly toward the front of the mat. My back foot comes down flat. And left hand on hip, right hand up and over for a big lateral stretch along this side. If you have block, you could come down with your fingers on the mat too. As ideally, we're looking for a long line from our toe up through our knee, our hip, our side body, shoulder, and out toward those fingers. Again, externally rotate that humerus on your upper arm, thumb more toward the ceiling. You can also open up that shoulder, look toward the ceiling, or lower that shoulder and look toward the floor. Depends where you like to stretch. Come up and over. We're just doing a free flow today. I call it free flow because there's a bunch of different stuff that I would like to incorporate today. So now we're on our knees. We're just going to rotate our hips around. This nice rotation of hips one way, then go the other way. So we do this on our knees, we can more isolate the movement to our hips. If we do this on our feet, sometimes our knees get in the action, and so we start doing a bunch of rotation in the knees. And really, I want to focus on primarily the relative movement between my spine and my hips. Keeping a nice straight spine. And now we come into Tadasana on our knees. So knees hip width apart. And when I say hip width apart, the little front points on your hips, if you draw a straight line down from those front points, is that where, that's directly underneath your hips. That's what I mean by feet or knees hip width apart. So now interlock your fingers. Push your fingers out in front of you. Come up. And do a little bit of back bend, engaging your abdominal muscles. And then come and twist to the right. As your arms are out like this, we're just going to swing around to a left hand twist. Arms come back up, interlock one finger over, come back up in the center. Now, bring your hands directly behind your head and come into a little bit of a back bend. Stretch your elbows toward the sky. Look up toward the ceiling, toward the sky. Big stretch for your triceps. Your tricep muscles, big stretch. Come back up. This time, we're going to twist to the left. Arms out. Inhale, exhale, and then we just use our abdominal muscles, twist to the right. Arms come back up. Undulate mudra this time, palms of hands together, and then with the palm of hands together, just bring them with your elbows out to either side. Keep your elbows where they're at, and just lower your wrists down so we can get a stretch of the front part of our wrist, the palm side of our wrist. Just push that down as much as you can. Some of you will have much more movement than me. And then we're going to take our arms out to the side, grab one wrist right behind the base of your hand, give it a little bit of a traction on that wrist, rotate one arm opposite the other arm, give a little traction, a little rotation that wrist, switch hands, traction, rotation, the other wrist. This is really good to open up the wrist. And then interlock fingers, and then just rotate your wrists around. I go the other way. Very good. And then with your fingers interlocked, push them down below you. Maybe stir the pot a little bit. Separate your hands. Now, supinate your palms So your palms face the floor, your arms directly below your side. Lock your elbows out so your elbows are not bent, and then we're going to do the GJ. So you just rotate your arm from the shoulder socket, just like you're doing the DJ, you know, with the record going forward and backwards, trying to find out what was on that Beatles album, the George Harrison. Going back and forth. Maybe go a little bit faster, warm that up, heat it up, heat it up. Faster you go, the more heat you're going to build in that forearm, the front of that forearm, and then shake it out. Good. And come up to standing. Okay, we're going to come into Tadasana. So, feet hip width apart, hands on hips. Now, remember what we did with the circle and the hips? We're going to do it again. This time our knees. Now, think of the difference between the isolation that we had with just the hip movement before. Now we got our knees involved. So, to me, there's so much involved with this, with the ankles, with the knees, that I don't know, maybe I am getting the same relative movement in my hips that I was before, but I'm not sure. To me, it doesn't feel like, at least there's a lot going on. So we talked earlier about Chitta, Vritta, Nirodha, just calming the fluctuations of the mind. To me, doing this standing up adds a lot of fluctuations because I had my ankles, I had my knees, and when I'm isolated down on my knees, then I'm just focused just on the hips. So that's calming, at least the fluctuations in my mind. Okay, now we're going to do a little some balance moves and some Padagustasana. And I don't have a belt with me today, so we'll see how this goes. We'll modify it. So first one I want to do is just tree pose. It's really windy today, so the trees are blowing around like crazy. And we're going to balance on our left leg first. I like to engage the quad and the glute. Amanda this week was, when we did yoga in the park, she had just learned a new technique whereby another teacher taught her to bring the inner thigh, or bring the thigh muscles to the bone. So the inner thigh goes to the bone, to your femur, outer thigh goes to the femur, everything goes into that standing bone, into that femur. So think about that. It's to me, it's similar to engaging your quadricep, raising that kneecap. That kneecap, I don't know if you can see my kneecaps. Some people can do this, some can't. So if you engage your thighs, my kneecaps go up. Try that. Try that at home. Sometimes you don't do this at home, but you can try this at home. See if your kneecaps go up. If your kneecaps go up, then you're engaging your thigh. So, but think this time, instead of just engaging your thigh, think everything from your knee up to your hip just constricts and tightens around that femur. So let's try that. Engage that leg around the femur, rounding that left, the right comes out. Keep this left hip in to the midline. Keep the left hip into the midline. And the right foot comes up. Now, I was reading another article this week in a yoga journal about how do you practice balanced poses. Balanced poses, like Christiane says, use it or lose it. And that was confirmed in this article that the older we get, the more we should be doing balanced poses of any kind every single day. And one, whoa, must be some wind in here too. One clue that the author of this article gave was do a balanced pose on a really soft surface. So I'm doing it on a really thick mat on a carpeted floor, which is providing me a little bit of challenge this morning. You can raise your arms up and over your head, find a drishti, a focal point. Breathe. Now, take that right leg, arms come down, right leg in front of you, knee up at waist height, interlock your fingers below that right knee. Your, from the knee down, your ankle is just hanging vertical. You can dorsiflex that upper foot back up towards your knee. Nice straight back. And then left arm out to the side, right knee out to the side. This is a Pada modified series. You can come back into center with that leg now. Oops. You can do this also holding on to something, if you like. Makes it so much easier. And then straighten that right leg. Have your hands underneath if you like. Then bring that right leg out to the side. Left arm out to the side. Pada. Come across. Now this time, come clear across your body with that leg, which might not be very far. And you can do this with a bent leg. In fact, you can keep your foot on your other leg if you like. Just modify it to suit yourself. Come across. Pada 3. Very good. Now shake that out. That's a lot of work on our ankle there. Shake that out. Good. Okay, now we're going to come up with our left. Think about your right leg again. Before we come up with our left, think about your right leg. All the muscles constrict around that, tighten around that femur bone. Bring your inner thigh to your femur, your outer thigh to your femur, the back, the front maybe. I'm maybe modifying what Amanda was saying there, but that's kind of what I think about it. Everything tightened right around that femur bone. So that the weight is really on your femur bone. The muscles are just there to kind of say, to encourage that balance. Balance through there, left leg up. Maybe this is where you start. Maybe you hang on to something. Maybe this is your tree pose right here, bus stop number 1, your toe on the floor. Maybe that's where you're at right now. There's really 3 components of balance. Your ear, of course, the cochlea in your ear, your eyes, and you'll notice there's a change in balance if you close your eyes. And the third is called proprioception, which is your ability, your muscles to learn and have what they call muscle memory, which is your muscle neurons in your brain are developed as you practice something over and over and over again. So as you balance, your muscles become more attuned to balancing. And so those 3 things, your cochlea in your ear balance, your eyes, and your proprioception, those 3 things add to your ability to balance. So there you go. So now, right hip, back up in the midline, maybe bring that left leg up, maybe hands come to heart center. You can practice on a hard surface if you like, soft surface, whatever. Now, bring that left leg out in front of you, clasp your hands below your knee, help hold that up. Bring that left knee out to the side, your right arm out to the side. Whoa, baby. I'm not too good on this leg today. That's funny. And then back in the center, maybe straighten that left leg. Bring that left leg out to the side with a straight leg, or not. Pada 2. Back in the center. Now come across body with that leg, Pada 3, a little bit, and that's it. Boy, I really got my hip flexor muscles, what would that be? The gluteus medius, maybe? Gluteus medius? On my right. Interesting. So now, we're going to do the hip check again. We're playing hockey, hip check. So now instead of doing a barrel roll, just in one plane of movement, hip, chuck that hip to the right and hold it out there. Hold it. Bend the, if your right hip is sticking out, bend your left knee. A lot of times we'll do this in a lateral bend. You're welcome to do that. I really want to just focus on this hip right now. Stretch that hip out. So I got my hands on my hips. You can have your hands wherever you like them. Come back up in the center, nice and slow. We'll come over to the other side. So our left hip goes out. Bend your right knee. Stick that left hip way out to the side. Big stretch in that left hip. Learned a while ago that sometimes it takes up to 18 seconds for the muscles to relax in a particular position, the muscles that aren't needed to hold that pose, hold that position. And that's about 5 breaths. So when you hear a yoga instructor say, we're going to hold this for 5 breaths, then we're holding it long enough to where the muscles that aren't needed in that to hold that pose can then relax. And the other muscles that are holding the pose learn, okay, this is what I need to do to hold the pose, and I don't need to do any more than what it takes to hold the pose. So that's called, in yoga, that's come back up into the standing position, maybe rotate your hips around. So in yoga, that's just doing yoga with ease. So we're not over using our muscles. We're only using the muscles that are necessary to hold the pose. So type of yoga we like to teach, I like to teach is Hatha yoga, H-A-T-H-A, which is not an aerobic type of yoga. You can go to the gym for that. You can go get yourself a run after this if you like. But we're focusing on alignment. We're focusing on Chitta, Vritta, Nirodha. Okay, very good. Now, I think what we're going to do now is a triangle to half moon pose. So we're going to face the short end of your mat, Tadasana. We're going to take a step back with our right foot. And I like to line front heel with back heel. Sarah Joy Marsh, I was in a workshop with her 2 years ago, I believe it was, and she was instructing this way that she said the new normal now is heel to heel alignment. But whatever feels good to your body, it helps to open the hips up a little bit more probably doing that. Another way is front heel to the arch of the back foot. That puts your back leg a little bit farther behind your hip. But I think if you line front heel with back heel, then your front ankle is aligned with the front ankle. Your front knee is aligned with the back knee. Your front hip is not aligned with the back hip because otherwise you'd have to do some kind of awkward rotation where I can't even do it. It tweaks my left knee trying to line my hips up. So somewhere between the feet and your back foot is turned at about a 30-degree angle or thereabouts. Somewhere between your feet and your hips, my hips point about 45 degrees off toward the front corner of my mat. So here's our alignment. Legs stay straight in triangle pose. And then arms come up. Now we do have the ability with our hips at a 45-degree angle or thereabouts. We do have the ability in our torso. If our torso stayed oriented with our hips, our arms would be out sideways. We do have the ability with our torso to twist our torso, twist our spine to where now our hands line up. My front hand over my right foot, my back hand over my back foot. And not only my feet, but my right hand, or my left hand over my left heel, if we're talking about alignment of heels, and my right hand over my right heel. So now I'm lined up heel to heel, hand to hand. Shoulders are lined up long way on the mat. And then with this, with your bottom, your groundedness, bottom of your feet grounded, raise the arches of both feet. Think about the arches, which means come on to the outside of those feet a little bit. Think of your arches. So now we're grounded up through the bottom of our feet. Now, reach across the room ahead of you, which means the right hip then comes back. As I reach to the left, right hip comes back, and I reach way across. So I haven't gone down yet. My arms are still out, but my hips now have made a move. And then I can rotate. The upper arm can stay on your hip if you like. But I make a move to where my left hand comes down just below my left knee, or maybe just above my left knee. Depends how far down you like to go. But my torso, my columns on either side, my left column, my right column, there's 4 columns really, front, back, left, right. But my torso, they stay the same. So my hips move. The left hip goes back toward the back of my mat. You can put your fingers right in there and encourage it to go back. Your right hip comes out. Push weight into your left toes. That helps to open up that left hip a little bit as we put weight on the ball of our foot. And we come down in triangle pose. Now, take your left fingers, or your right fingers, your left hand's on your left leg. Take your right fingers right below your sternum, your xiphoid process, right below where the bottom of your ribs, there's called the linea alba. So it's a line, straight line that runs from your xiphoid process, your sternum, right down to your navel. There's a line there, it's called the linea alba. So as you're over in this position, your torso's nice and straight, put your fingers right in that linea alba, and maybe you can feel it, maybe you can't, that's cool. But just encourage the twist. Just with your fingers, just pull a little bit, just to encourage that twist. And then your arm comes up. And then your head is in line with your torso somehow. There we go. Breathe into this position. We're going to hold it for 5 breaths. Drop your lower ribs. Drop your lower ribs. If you're arching your right ribs, drop your lower ribs to where your right ribs then become straight. They become aligned with your lower ribs. So your torso is nice and straight then. Think of your arches, your feet. Are your arches still lifted? Are they engaged? You have weight in your front toes. Are your femurs hugging your thigh muscles hugging your femur bone? And then bend that forward knee a little bit. The upper hand, right hand, comes back up on your hip, and we're going to just launch forward. Maybe you need a chair or something to hang on to. Launch forward into half moon pose. This half moon, it is useful to have something to hang on to, I have to admit. So half moon, so you can use a chair for this, whatever you want. You can stop this video and come back, start all over so we can get all the sequence. And here's your half moon. So we're going to stack our right shoulder on top of our left. If you find a focal point, you can let everything go. Whoa, fall out of it. This is a challenging pose, even hanging on to something. And then come out of that, you fall out like I did. Come back up into standing. So, the nice thing about a YouTube video is you can stop, you can replay this. If your home practice if you really like to engage a home practice to to build your own body awareness, build your own practice, build your own expertise, stop and replay, come back over it, practice it over and over, and then you'll learn things about yourself, about your body that you didn't know before you saw this video. Maybe. Okay, now we're going to come on to the left side. So come into your position, triangle position, heel to heel, arches, engage your legs, a straight torso, arms out, right hip comes back as I reach across toward the top of my mat. I come into triangle pose, drop your lower ribs toward the floor so your upper ribs become more parallel with your lower ribs. Breathe into this. We're going to hold this for 5 breaths. Push into your front toes to help open up that hip. Raise the arch of your back foot by focusing on weight on the outside edge of your back foot. Did we do our linea alba? Encourage that twist. You can do it any time. It really helps to open that up. Another teacher taught me that one time, Lydia. To me, it really helps to just help encourage that twist. Now we're going to bend that forward knee. The left arm comes down, maybe on our hip, maybe just to rotate forward. As we come up, find a focal point of drishti on the floor. We're going to come up into half moon pose. Half moon is where we're just balancing our right leg. Find a focal point. Maybe you release your death grip on whatever you're balancing with. And when you're ready, you can fall out of that and come back on your mat. Good. And then, once again, rotate our hips around, loosen up that sacrum. Rotate them left, rotate them right. Good. And I just want to come back into mountain pose, hands up overhead, hands down the heart center. Bend your knees a little, and with a nice straight back, hinge at the hips, come into Uttanasana, forward fold. Interlock your elbows to where now you're just hanging off your hips. Go ahead and round your back. Your knees can be bent, your belly, chest hanging on top of your thighs. If you like, you can straighten your knees as much as you like to get a little stretch in your hamstrings. And just release it. Just let gravity release it. And then put your hands on the floor and come down onto your mat. Sit on your mat. Then we're going to come in a prone position on our mat. Soles of your feet on the mat, knees up in the air, arms out of T position. Widen your feet, the width of your mat. Then just windshield wiper to the right. Come back up, windshield wiper to the left. Nice and easy, just nice and gentle. Come back up, we're just going to windshield wiper left and right a little bit. And then we're going to come back into Ardha Shavasana. Bring your knees in toward your chest and just interlock your fingers around your knees and just hug them right into your chest. Just bring them in as much as you can, so we're rounding our lower back, our lumbar area, where our spine connects with our sacrum, sacrum with our pelvis. Just give that a little compression, little stretch, relaxation. And then we're just going to come down with our feet, Ardha Shavasana. Big inhale, big exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Think about your breath. As now you straighten your legs out. Now we're flat on our back on the mat. Your hands can be any position that's comfortable. Preferably, we talked about mudras earlier. So in this position, it's nice to have your hands toward the ceiling because that invites openness. If you have a blanket or a towel or even a small pillow, I would recommend putting one underneath your knees and another, take a blanket and roll up into a roll and put right underneath the length of your spine from your neck down to your sacrum. So you're laying over a rolled up blanket or a towel. It just helps to open up the collarbones, open up the chest. As your palms of your hands face toward the ceiling, you can engage your thumb and your index finger, your first finger, on both hands as well for your mudra. I forget what that's called. Some of you may know. So there's your mudra. Just relaxing, Shavasana. Nothing to do in Shavasana except for keeping your mind focused. This is the hardest pose in all of yoga, Shavasana, believe it or not. Because as we review the second sutra, Chitta Vritta Nirodha, calming the fluctuations of the mind, when the body's not moving, the mind says, hey, I'm free to think of other things, but yoga's not over yet. Hatha Yoga Anushasanam. We're still in the practice of yoga. So our mind should still be focused on yoga. And the easy way to do that, or a way to do that, maybe not the easy way, but a way to do that is to focus your mind on your breath. So think about the volume of your breath, how big an inhale, how big an exhale. You can hold at the top of your breath, hold at the bottom of your breath. A little hold for like a count of 1 or 2. It's good also to count your breath. Count to like from 1 to 10. What I like to do sometimes is start at 27 and count backwards. 27 is a multiple of 108, which is a significant number in yoga and other Eastern philosophies, modalities. So go from 27, count backwards, and keep your mind focused on the number. Maybe you draw the number in your mind. Maybe you somehow focus your mind on that number. Count from 27 back to 0. And then you can start over again. Whatever your little trick is to do, maybe you have a mantra that you say that you can focus on. Maybe it's a chant. Whatever it is, you can focus your mind on that as you lay in Shavasana and keep your mind focused. Maybe you're chanting Loka, Samasta, Sukhino, Bhavantu. Om Namah Shivaya, Gurave, Sachidananda, Murtaye, Nisprapinchaya, Shantaya, Niralambaya, Tejase. So just stay in your Shavasana for a good 10 minutes. And I want to thank you for joining me with yoga today. May our thoughts be peaceful, our words be peaceful, and our heart be peaceful. Namaste.